So, welcome all to the Building of the Grid weekly meeting. And it's cool seeing so many extra people here today. We have new people like Emma from England, Christoph from Germany, Nevin, who's been here before, but from Croatia, right? So we have
Yeah.
England, Ireland, Croatia, America, Germany, where else? And Iceland. Thor from Iceland is here as well. So it's very, very cool to see everybody coming together. So, as we always say, these calls just exist so that we can build the grid together. It's moved into a community building, and so much comes out of these calls. So many product ideas, so many ideas of why not try this and that, and it's just fantastic just to like be in this community with all of you. So, and the people who watch it, in their own spare time, for those who can't make the 5:30 call, thank you. It's just fantastic. And the grid is responding very positively to it. So, the technology is maturing, the community is growing, and, lots of stuff has happened since our last call, which we didn't do on last week because of the eclipse. And I went up into the mountains and just witnessed the most epic eclipse from the Pyrenees, which was just amazing to see. And I hope you all had a great eclipse experience if you got to see it. So we've kind of changed the grid a little bit. One heart, many voices, many languages, many traditions, pulling everything together, under one simple umbrella of love. And, everybody, no matter what language you speak or what tradition you come from or what your philosophical or whatever your viewpoints are, everybody agrees on the grid, which is just absolutely wonderful. So as long as we continue to keep it nice and simple and keep it nice and inclusive, it should continue to grow and grow and grow. And on that note, since our last call, we've had like 500 new people have basically come to the grid. We're on like 3,500 so far, which actually, as I spoke with Gail the other day, she was saying, well done. I'm like, yeah, but we have to get to 1% of the global population before we can start giving each other high fives. But to get to 3,500 is pretty good. Um, so, if there's anybody at this point would like to say anything or like kind of jump in, or will I just continue with my own version of the agenda? Okay.
Go, go, go.
Okay.
Go,
So
go, go, go
yeah,
for it.
so we have reached like 3,500 people with no promotion. It's all been organic growth. People just basically saying, "Hey, have you checked out the grid?" And it just seems to be something that people are coming back to. And at the moment, the grid is mostly brought, or mostly people come to it because they've heard from one of the people on this call, or they have one of our many social media followers, which we need to figure that out, which I'm going to get to later on in the call, just in terms of how do we start promoting this. But with no organic or with no promotion, we've had a really good opportunity to essentially fix everything and make sure it all runs really, really smoothly. And, and then to bring in the 30 days, 30 voices, to actually take it away from just Stephen being the voice every day, which is something that's been great for testing it. And it's been great to like prove the concept and to prove the mechanical process of going into your heart. But it's been a great opportunity for us to refine and test the system by introducing the 30 days, 30 voices, because we have to build a system now, which is actually 90% built, to be able to schedule Jeff Cozy the 2nd of September, Gail Thomas the 13th of September. We're also going to be doing a big party, which people are invited to come to, on the 22nd of September in the magical Rennes-le-Château, where, if you know Rennes-le-Château, and if not, I'm going to share information about Rennes-le-Château, but it is, for me, it's the home of the divine feminine. And it is, where a lot of the fire ceremonies have been, where I've basically sat around the fire, figuring out all of this or as much as this as possible. And one of the ladies up there, who I think is maybe the custodian of the mountain, She has given this beautiful meditation, which I can't wait to broadcast it. It's just so lovely. And Jeff has put the most incredible earthy ethereal music around it that, when you actually hear it, it's going to just be a really beautiful experience. But we're going to actually have a little kind of party up there on the 22nd of September, just to see how many people we can get together on the grid at the same time in the same location, just to see how big that dot goes. And it'll be a great test as well for us to actually see, how much we can handle in one place. So, but on the 30 days, 30 voices, it's going really well. We have a number of meditations have already been received. We have like maybe 7 or 8 now. We have the promise or the pledge of others, from a vast array of backgrounds and disciplines and traditions. And I think we are set for having a very for having a very successful launch on the 1st of September. Excuse me. But we are still looking for contributors. So if you have something that you'd like to say, if you'd like to be part of this really unique global experiment, it'd be wonderful if you can record something. We have a guide, we have a really simple contributor guide, which we can make available to you. It is completely up to you what your method of bringing the person down into their heart is. And when I listen to some of the beautiful contributions, it's crazy like how many people have different ways to do it, but it's all to take them on the same journey down into their hearts. So we can send you the contributor guide. And if you would like to contribute, or if you know anybody who'd like to contribute, that'd be fantastic. But then as part of that, I had a conversation with this amazing musician and professional meditator from India. And I spoke to him at an event the other night where he was playing this amazing flute music in this really, really special church here in the south of France. And I asked him if he would like to contribute to the grid, and he would love to. But then he said, well, why don't I do it in Hindi as well? And I said, well, we do have a Hindi version at the moment, but it's Stephen speaking Hindi. So he's now going to give us a version in Hindi as well, which then opens it up, that we can now run any language at all. So, think about the English contributions, but then also, Thor, you can do something in Icelandic, you can do something in Croatian. I don't see any, or Christoph can do something in German, so we can actually really start to like bring in all of the international voices into the grid. So if you do have any ideas of people who can speak their native language, who would like to contribute a language specific meditation to the grid, like, in fact, we just say it's a guide to bring the person from their mind-based thinking down into their heart, and then to amplify that out into the grid of love around the earth. If you know anybody, just please let us know. The other update is we're getting a ton of musicians are giving us their music to the grid. Like, we basically put a call out several weeks ago to say we're looking to change the background music so that while people are waiting for the broadcast to start, you will essentially, be able to listen to, let's say, the music of Jeff Cozy, or the music of Thor Odinson, or the music of David Sy. Welcome to the call, by the way. Nice to see you. And, so we have received a ton, and the actual music library is now beginning to grow faster than we can actually process it. So there's just a lot of work happening behind the scenes. And thank you to everybody who has given their music as a contribution to the grid. But my question to you is, do you know anybody else? Do you know anybody else? And think really big, think like really big, like we are, we already have commitments from people like Nicholas Jarre. So, we can go really, really big with this, and, we can just go and ask the question to some really big names, and perhaps they'll say yes, perhaps they won't, but if you don't ask, you don't receive. from a product update perspective, we have done another release, which is, in fact, it actually goes live tonight because we had to test it on the 11/11 broadcast this morning, and there was just a couple of small changes. But this release is more about stability again, because we keep finding lots of little bugs and issues as more people use it. But the latest release has a really simple way to contact us. It also has, an overview of some of the projects we're working on within the grid. And actually, this was an idea from Tor, because I basically sat down. I said, we have all of these things that need to get done. We have all of these things that need resources. And he said, well, why not just actually build a page in the app and say, here's what we need, and actually see if people, can provide the expertise or the support that's required to actually make some of these a reality. So in the next release, you'll see a breakdown of all of the different things that the grid needs. And that will be, the main product release. But it will also have the ability for you to switch on and off the voice, because we have lots of feedback from people saying that, we really appreciate your method of going into the heart, but we've been doing this for 20 years and we'd actually like to do it on our own. So can you switch the voice off and just keep the music? So in the next release, you will have the option to just basically switch off the voice, just listen to music, or switch off the music and just listen to yourself. So these are all kind of small improvements. You will also be able to switch off the breathing guide, because it has come to our attention from a few people that maybe the breathing guide is not working too well for some people, that they don't want to be locked into the 5 second in, 5 second out, which works for me, works for lots of different people. But some people want to just be able to breathe at their own pace. So you can basically switch on and off the breathing guide. When people ask us, we always respond with a solution. So if there is literally anything that you think we should change or add or take away, please just come and contact us. So basically, in the support the grid, the grid will be free forever. There'll be no advertising. There'll be no subscriptions. There's no collection of personal information. There's no collection of your advertising ID, which actually most people don't know this, but you all have an advertising ID that goes with you throughout all of your phones and all of your devices. And it's just a way for the advertisers to target, adverts towards you. We don't do any of that. We collect nothing. So it is a truly safe application that you can use with absolute confidence. And we are more than happy to show people how secure it is or how privacy focused it is. So if anybody ever wants to come and take a look under the hood, we would be more than happy to facilitate that. But then as part of that, we're never going to be able to expand beyond our existing set of expertise, which is why we have support the grid. So we're going to list off the things we need, and if anybody, can provide the expertise to help us. Let's just say, for example, we need help with social media. We have a huge amount of content has been created and will continue to be created. We have all of our grid sessions. We have all of these meetings. We have a ton of other videos and films that have been created since the very beginning. And it's now, we now have a bank of some really great content, which will, basically help to spread the grid. The only problem is I don't really know how any of this stuff works. I just know that we need to create really good content. But for example, support the grid. If anybody out there has, skills, if they're good at Instagram or if they're good at YouTube or creating short form content or, actually picking the best videos to send at the best time and the best parts of the world, which I know is a skill set all on its own, we would be delighted to talk to them, but we have everything listed out in the new version of the app, and there's a new website as well, hopefully in the next couple of days, which will basically list these things off as well. We don't absolutely rely on the help, but it would be great just to get a little bit of expertise support if you can. One of the last things I want to cover is I had a conversation with a lady this morning, and she expressed concern about the tracking of the location. She said, well, I don't like my location being tracked, and I don't want to be part of, a way to track my location. So I just thought I would basically address that here, just so we actually have it on the record. So from a privacy perspective, if you choose to allow the grid to track your location, it is for the express purpose of you being able to put your dot on the map. And that's it. We don't, let's just say, for example, if somebody comes on in Dublin, Ireland, we don't have their actual address. We just have an approximate location in Dublin, Ireland. So it's not going to, impede on your privacy or allow yourself to be tracked in any way. And we only track the approximate location. If you don't want to be on the map, you have the option to basically switch that off as an option. So the grid is completely configurable how you want to engage with, how you want to use it. And as I said, at the beginning, if anybody wants to take a look at our privacy of how we secure the application, of how we do all of these things, we would be more than happy to essentially allow anybody to take a look under the hood. And as we move towards open source of the grid as well, that's going to bring in a ton of developers from around the planet who are going to basically build the grid with us. So, that's a great way to ensure privacy and transparency, is when you go open source. But until that day comes, come on in, take a look, and we will be 100% sure that you won't have any issues, because the grid might be very, very simple on the surface, but behind the scenes, it is very, very complex, but it has been built with privacy in mind, because my whole background is in security and I know how to make a secure application. As part of the 30 days, 30 voices, we have the grid sessions, which is this wonderful way for us to, talk to the people behind the meditation. So we had one with Gail on Monday, and it was wonderful just to actually meet Gail, just so when we actually do broadcast your message, Gail, that actually people have had the opportunity to actually go and know who you are and have links back to all of your work. We did another call last week. In fact, we have a lot of grid session calls to do over the next few days. But, it is a really kind of great way to continue to spread the word. And the idea is that, we bring Gail in, Gail tells all of her followers, they then come to listen to Gail on the grid. And then they're told at the very end, hey, if you liked Gail's work, you could also be a grid contributor as well. And the idea is that it spreads like that by actually giving people a way to come into it. So basically, the end of my update is just to say that, this September experiment, it's not the destination of the grid. It's not, once we get there, we have basically achieved our objective. The first to the end of September is just a way to prove that the grid can actually facilitate lots of different voices from lots of different backgrounds, from lots of different languages. And in that month, it's going to be a great way to spread the grid, but it's also going to be a great way for us from a software perspective to actually make sure that everything is working the way it's meant to work. So that's, I think that's most of my updates. So if there's anything anybody else wants to say, that'd be fantastic. Or if you have any questions.
Obviously, I'm really excited about the party.
And I think you're going to be in the South as well for it, right? You'll be down here as well.
Well, I haven't decided when, but I think I will probably try to come at that time. So
Now you have a target, 22nd of September, south of France,
yeah,
Rennes le
that's
Chateau.
amazing.
Yes.
I'm really impressed by how big this group is getting. I mean, I've only
Yeah.
been on the calls from a month ago, maybe, and the image gets smaller and smaller. So it's good.
Yeah,
to
it's fantastic.
um,
Yeah, we're now
on
at
on
11 people.
the Instagram strategy or content creation. My best friend, she's in Bordeaux, and she has a agency called Pony Agency, and I'm gonna talk to her to see if she wants to have fun and think about some little something. I don't
That'd be
know, but
fantastic.
I didn't know you were looking for that. But she's a wizard.
You see, my whole problem is I don't like asking people for help because I don't want to be an imposition to them, you know. So, but now it's time to ask. It's time to really
Well, see,
help.
we're here on our free will. We are really showing up to you and your vision. So, yeah.
Let's do it. All right, cool. Well, please do go and put us in contact with your friend in Bordeaux. That'd be amazing. Thank you so much.
I
David,
have just one.
yeah, Chris, Nevin.
Yeah, just sorry, one quick question. I make one experimental audio, and it happens because last month and 1 month still I will not be at home. I'm all around the world, all around Croatia. So all the gears are not with me. So I record myself the meditation through poor microphone. If I understand well on your document that you sent, you have some opportunities to deal with this audio to a little bit polish it up. Did I understand that well?
I think Thor wants to say something.
So, even though it's not best practice, your phone, if you record it, you keep the phone at the same distance from your mouth, and then there are built into most new phones audio erasers that basically take out the background noise and clean it up. It's not perfect, but then perfect is the enemy of good and finished. So, if it works, try it.
Okay.
Which I think
I will try to make it together a bit with music and audio. The game is that I'm not used to that quality. Maybe it's my, OKP. But I just want to do it the best as possible. But I figure out that I can't. I make like some sound room and everything. So I put background sounds far as possible and dump as possible. But the quality of sound, the best I can do it, it's okay. I will send it to you, Steven, so you judge. If it's necessary, I'll figure out in a day or two what can I do here on Ireland. Island like Corchula, not Ireland.
I can help on some of that stuff. One of the projects that got sent to me had so much background noise. There was way too much having to be edited, dogs and people
Yes.
moving around and stuff.
Sorry for sending you that.
Like, yeah, no, and when you send it to me, it was part of a video and all that, and watching that is just fine, but actually trying to meditate it was distracting.
Yeah.
And so what I would say to Nevin would be meditate before you send it and listen to it closely and see if it's doing what you want it to be done. And if there's just some slight adjustments or something that need to be made, then I can help do that, but within reason.
Yeah, within reason. Gail, what did you
I don't talk about the background music and everything.
Say that again.
I used this just like a small plug-in mic that I clipped and plugged into my phone.
Okay.
And just did a voice note.
Very good, yeah.
Having said that, actually, no, wait. The one I sent to you didn't even have the mic. If I'd had this tiny little mic, it would have been better. The
Wow.
first recording I made was something like 12 minutes long, and so I had to record it again to get it under 10, and I forgot to plug the mic in. So the one I sent to you, if you recall, there were birds in the background.
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe you heard some traffic. But if you're in a relatively quiet space, the recording you got that shows is still not so bad with a voice memo, but you can get it better if you've just got a tiny little mic even,
This is
or you know,
amazing.
even a pro one like yours.
Yeah, it's amazing. The Shure mic's
Better.
fantastic, you know.
So birds are okay, you know,
Yeah,
as
yeah,
long as
birds
they're
are
not,
okay.
Yeah.
you know, as long as they're not blocking you out. And if you
Yeah.
feel comfortable about what you're presenting, you know, and if you want music put behind it or something, that's fine. Uh, some ideas help of kind of energetically, because otherwise what I've done is I listen to the meditation a few times and see where it takes me, and then I'm trying to find my way through that. And it's kind of like music. When you're improvising, you're jamming with other people and you have to listen, and so
Yeah.
I'm trying to make the basic part of the music flow with that, you know. And sometimes there's a track that's maybe already created that I can slide in there or slide out or edit it or whatever. But it really depends on what's brought to the table to see what can happen. But the birds, as long as they're not obnoxiously crows calling
Yeah,
really
yeah,
loud,
yeah. Caw-caw, caw-caw.
kind of fun.
I
They
actually
wait.
thought the birds on my one, they sounded quite nice. It's just the general kind of white noise that you also had going on in the background. And I actually thought if the whole backing track could be just augmented with birds, that would actually be quite lovely. You could add even more bird noises to it.
Yeah.
I did over 60 albums for the record companies of nature sounds from all over my travels. So I did that back in the 90s for what, 12 years probably. So that's what they paid us to do, is we took our vacations to Hawaii or Mexico or different parks and things, and we'd have to find it when the airplanes aren't going over the morning or the evening. So I have quite a lot of content of those sort of things. So but they can be distracting too when you know it's trying to get it so it's calming, because your message is the most important thing.
Yeah. And in fact, actually,
Thank you for this sharing.
Oh, go ahead.
Just want to thank you for this sharing, because probably with me problem is my this perfection. I usually frequently making meditation, audio meditation for a client, but it's personal, so it's all different point of view. It's the transition of energy, and here no, it's worldwide and it's open. It needs to be clear.
Agreed.
So yeah, okay. And I will send you, because I have separate music my own that I put it in the program. If you, I have sounds of birds, crickets here, because for some things I use it separately. But yes, thank you for sharing. It helped me a lot, because yes, okay, what I done, I think it will be workable. Thank you.
And I actually received one yesterday from a lady in Mauritius, and she was at the vortex of Riambel, Riambel, and a really powerful local energy place. And I asked her, you know, where did you get the background track from? She said there was no background track. That was just the sound of the birds and the sound of the waterfall in the background, and it just worked perfectly.
Wow.
You know,
Yeah.
like so. So yeah, I'd say just try keep it as quiet as possible, and then we can see what we can do with it. Or sorry, we can't. Jeff can see, Tor can see.
Okay.
Maybe David Sy could see as well, because you're a music producer as well, right? You're on mute there. You're on mute. You have to unmute, David. No, still on mute.
It should be bottom left on your
Yeah.
phone if you're on your phone, Dave.
Yeah, you'll see a microphone or.
No, Evan, all my runs are
Yeah,
live
you're
on
back.
YouTube.
Yeah.
Is that all right now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, what I was going to say, just listening to everybody talking, there's this incredible universality about what you're doing, and it's drawing everybody in. It doesn't need to be, in a sense, it doesn't need to be advertised because it's the basic fundamental to community, to what humans do. Why we love to share knowledge, we love to share what we've done. The payoff is in that sharing. That's the payoff. There's no need for anything else. And I think that is, it's like truth is beyond provability. You say to a dog, you describe a dog, and you ask the dog, does that describe you? And he goes, no, because it's subjective.
Yeah, yeah.
It's all subjective, and what is subjective to all of us? Truth, love. We want. I mean, that drives everybody. That's the payoff in the end, anyway. So why not have it at the beginning? And I love what's going on with all of this and all the stumbling blocks. Obviously, you're going to have.
Of course, yeah.
And with someone like me who's completely ridiculous when it comes to technology, but we're driven all by the same thing, and I think that's when we connect up. That's why they like to separate us, because it gives them some sort of idea of power, but there's no power in that at all. It's fallacious story.
Would you
So
say
yeah,
you
well,
could would you say you could help out with the post-production on the audio tracks, like to actually add music? Like, have you the facilities to do that?
I think so. I have to talk to Dave, my partner, about that,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
I'm the pure artist. He's the technical side of it. So
Put
yeah,
Dave on the phone, yeah.
he's actually at the moment now with the carers. So
Yeah.
he,
Okay.
but he sends his love and what. Get the cat out of the way. Yeah.
Well, look,
So yeah,
if you guys
definitely.
can't help, I'm sure Jeff would be delighted to
Okay.
receive help. So, like, if you can,
Yeah,
we
we'll
can just
try.
put you in touch with Jeff. So that'd be cool.
Okay.
Thank you, David.
Oh,
Much appreciated.
sure,
And
sure.
I'm looking forward to receiving your meditation as well. It's going to be wonderful.
Yeah. I
You
will.
know. Thank
Blessings
you,
to you.
sir.
Thank you.
Stephen, can
Yeah.
I just say something about going back to your breathing thing, having the option to take the breathing off?
Yeah.
Just to remind you that there are, just to keep it inclusive, that there are many people out there with breathing difficulties,
Yeah.
asthma, emphysema, or actual lung diseases, or elderly people.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's really important, just to make sure that
Yeah.
maybe when people do their meditations, that they're not ascribing complex ways
Yes.
of breathing
Right.
or methods of breathing that not everybody understands the terminology of. If someone's come from a Wim Hof or a yogi background or whatever,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
just keep it like general layman's language,
Yeah.
and to say, if you are going to sort of ascribe breathing in for 5, out for 5, say, if that feels comfortable, no forcing or no pushing, just the kind of just keeping it inclusive.
Yeah, absolutely, Gail. Thank you for saying
Could
that,
I,
Jim.
Gail, can I jump in there, Stephen?
Yeah.
Would you mind?
Of course.
I absolutely 150% support you on that, because I through my career in yoga, I found that there's a kind of elitism that goes on with pranayama at times, which is not inclusive. It's not inclusive, and however someone breathes, that's perfectly fine, and to keep someone out, or just to not consider. I think the whole thing is compassion. The whole thing is inclusiveness.
Yeah.
The whole thing is to say, yeah, however you are. I mean, particularly when I've had classes, you find the great practitioners are in the front. And I remember once in Liverpool, there was a woman in a wheelchair at the back with one leg, and all the main practitioners in the front, and they're all jumping around and backflips and all ridiculous stuff. And I said, look at that woman there. Look, who are you? And I drew her out, and suddenly the whole class became filled with compassion, because it wasn't about what it takes people into community, and in community the ego positionality starts to diminish, and that's wonderful. And I think that's the education that humans need, particularly at this time. So I just wanted to jump in on
No,
what you were saying.
that's
Absolutely right.
I mean, like my brother was born with a lung disease, so the most he could ever achieve was
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
There are many people like that, and there are
Yeah.
people like, again, considering the meditations, that people maybe that can't sit in a chair, or people that can't lay down, or people maybe might not have their feet on the floor. If you're saying,
Yes.
you know, put the soles of your feet on the floor. I mean, I'm guilty of doing that mistake in meditation sometimes, just generalizing online, but all of those things that you don't know where someone is. They might be on the tube, they might be in a wheelchair.
Right.
Yeah, all kinds of scenarios, young, old.
We
Yes.
also are bringing out. We're in the process of a version for deaf people as well, because so to actually have sign language, as an animated kind of journey for a person who is deaf, and
Brilliant.
so if anybody could help us on that as well, that'd be fantastic. So yes, Jeff.
Okay.
Can I chime in on the breathing part? For 27 years at least, teaching toning and using the voice to heal. Our counts are really long. And one of the things I've always said to people, and a lot of medical people have come to use my programs and stuff, but I tell them, if you can't do this, it's hard. It's hard learning how to do this. And so it's like practice. Just do the best you can. If nothing else, just listen and
Right.
go at your own pace and feel what's happening. And as you can, little by little, you practice it. And an example, I had a gal who was in our joy toning class for a year. She's a university student and a singer, and she couldn't do its 4-count in breaths, but there were long 16-count out breaths that we were doing. And she faked it the whole time, and she broke out laughing one night, and we were all kind of going, wow, what's up with that? And she goes, well, I got to admit, I've been faking it all year. And we all cracked up. I says, there was no faking to happen. We were doing this as a project, and it's like learning a musical instrument. You're not going to be able to be Jimi Hendrix this week. I'm sorry. And it takes practice to do these things. And so you do it at your pace, and just be the love that you just do the best you can.
Right.
May I share? Now I'm inspired to share something. It's okay, Stephen?
Of course, brother.
Yeah. So about breathing, now I realize that in the last 7 years, actually, I just talk about breathing as it is. So we don't use any specific breathing rhythm or something like that, but very strongly put focus on observing what change in your breath, even during the session, during the meditation, or during everyday life. Some of my clients get homework to observe their breathing in some regularly everyday moments. And in that way, they start to figure out their own personal patterns and start to figure out when and why the breath change and with what is connected. So in that way, but introspection is my gig, they in their own way start to learn about themselves. So in one fact, I agree that in this moment, much more powerful is that we start to observe what it is, because we are all in a hard or subconscious driven to this connection that we try to enter, and the old paradigm was that we enter this state of being, state of heart, or state of mind through certain techniques and concepts. A lot of especially youngsters 20 years old under, these things are bizarre simple for them, and they do it by themselves. They breathe 4.5 breath in a minute, so nobody give them a concept, a mental structure of what that do. Just they observe themselves and witness what change they figure out and how this change allow them to be more themselves. So yes, the breathing is a very, very powerful one of the basic personal rhythms that we actually, if we observe the patterns, can learn a lot about ourselves, even without any knowledge about all these concepts, ancient concepts and teachings about breathing.
Thank you, Nevin.
Yep.
Christoph, welcome. Good to see you. It's been a while. You have been running meditation groups in Germany, right?
Basically online, but in German.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how's that going?
I mean, now it's fizzling out because I also put less effort in
Yeah.
because I got a bit frustrated because we had like a few hundred people in the group, but like people showing up daily was like a handful of people.
Yeah.
So I mean, if you think about it, of course, it's like a no-brainer to give 5 minutes of your day to, connect to the global grid and enhance consciousness on the planet. But I think many people
Just
like
about the time.
it's not a no-brainer. Yeah. I thought like 5 minutes, it's perfect. Like no one can even bring the objection of not having time, but
Yeah.
many people did not have the time or did not have the proper motivation because usually if you go into marketing, people tell you like, okay, what's in it for me? Like people need this.
Yeah.
So many are still like dealing with their personal issues, I guess. But yeah, I think there are already many of these like mass meditation groups.
Of course, yeah.
So there already you have people who are into it.
Yeah.
But of course, then you have like, this whatever meditation guru and this meditation guru. So I'm not sure. I think it would be possible to reach out to them, but I'm not sure if they would like open their groups,
Yeah. Which
For
is
whatever
very,
reason.
very anti-grid.
Yeah, like they would give you some reason, but basically it's about keeping their email list for themselves.
Well, you know what, Christoph, it's now our mission to get them to join the grid. And we are going to do that by bringing in 1,000 voices and by bringing in 1,000 different ways of going into the heart. And, they can have a voice in the grid because it's not about it isn't about a guru or it isn't about a closed group. It's about bringing the planet together, and every voice, which means that if you have a voice on the grid, then you're going to be much more inclined to share it. You're going to be much more inclined to share it with your friends. And then your friends can see, oh my God, I can have a voice on the grid as well. So I think it's the best way to spread it. But we also are looking at other ways to keep people engaged, such as at the end of a broadcast in a very anonymous way, how do you feel? At the end of the broadcast, you just basically select maybe one of 10 little emojis to see how you feel. And then it keeps a track of how you felt for the past month, completely anonymously, of course. It's just a user ID 7,122. Here's all of your kind of logs of the past 30 days. So you can actually map it back to, that, wow, I've actually felt pretty good the past month since I start using the grid. We also have a new Heart Amplification Center. We have 2 upgrades coming. The first is being able to actually send love out into grid, because when you use the Heart Amplification Center in the grid, that's kind of your space that you go into for you to help to cultivate your heart's energy by remembering, love, by, doing an act of love, by having a memory or a feeling or an expression of gratitude. And when you constantly think about these things, it does something. It makes you feel happier. Like if you just remind yourself what you're grateful of. Okay, you might have one bad thing in your day, but you have 50 brilliant things. Make a note of them. And it just basically helps to keep you in your heart. But that's only version 1. Version 2 is going to be that you can then actually send an expression of love out into the grid. So you can now basically bring the energy into yourself and then you can project it out at any time of the day or night. So that when a person is using the grid, they'll just receive a burst of love from Jeff Cozy over in America, but they won't know it's from Jeff. It will just be a beautiful idea or his intention of love gets spread into the grid, which makes it much more engaging. So we have all of the different voices going to bring a lot of different it's going to bring a lot of choice or a lot of different kind of, what's the word? It's going to bring a lot of different viewpoints in, or it's, so it's not going to get stale. You have a way of tracking, how you're feeling. You have a way of sending love into the grid at any point and receiving love, which is going to be so much fun when it goes live. But then also, this is the longer term vision, but to actually show you the effect of the grid, not just on yourself, but we are now working with a number of universities about, well, how could we actually track, like, let's just say pick one statistic in society or in the local area and see if the grid can impact that, like what they did in Washington, D.C., from the Maharishi University. They were able to actually, come together, like, let's say 10,000 people into a square in Washington, D.C., and they saw crime rate go down while they were focused in tension. And then when they stopped, it went back up again. So, we have the power to control a lot of things in our world by coming together. We just need to figure out how we can display that to you in a completely transparent, beyond reproach way, because the grid has to be built step by step so that it's beyond reproach at any point. Otherwise, it sinks. But kind of, even to even gamify it, and so the idea is to make the grid more fun, so that you will want to come to it. And Christoph, imagine you could have like your top meditators come in and, just record something for the grid. And then that's a really good way of fusing the two grids together, like plugging in a network cable into a switch, it just expands it with just one cable. I hope that made sense.
Yeah, what I'm just thinking is like gamifying and all that, like that's something you need to do for people that need like an external motivation.
Yeah,
But all of us here, I would assume we already know why we're doing it. Like
absolutely. Yeah.
we know what's the bigger game being
Yeah.
played.
Yes.
So I think that's like more the low-hanging fruit, like find these people first if you can find them. Yeah, but I like that you have the voices, like to entice other people to come in and bring their communities. I think that makes sense. And I was also thinking about festivals, like festival season. There are like a million
Marie is going to be
festivals.
delighted to hear that. Marie is all about the party to
Yeah,
bring people physically together, which is brilliant. Yeah, agreed.
yeah, because we could have ambassadors of the grid and they apply to the festival to give like a workshop. The workshop can be just join the app group meditation, because also this group experience, of course, it enhances the festival, not because everyone wants to be like one and I mean, so if and then there you already have like a few hundred or a few thousand people together in one place at these festivals.
It's the dream.
So I think for next year, that's like a good
yeah.
expansion idea.
That's a really good idea for advertising.
Didn't Dan Winter do that in Australia? Because he was
in the 90s at the non-drug raves, the bliss raves.
Yeah.
Bliss raves. Oh my God.
He was broadcasting the frequencies out into the audience, and it's like, now this would be interesting to see how he did that. That could be something you could check on, Stephen, when you talk to him, and see if how he approached having that happen, number one, and then how could the grid utilize that type of thing. It's not necessarily subliminal frequencies being put out there, but being able to have a way that maybe some of these meditations could be available to some of them. And there's a lot of festivals now, the frequency fests and stuff like that are happening for more inner consciousness stuff. And we just had one over in Rochester, Minnesota here a week or so ago. And it was a music festival, but it was all about heart-based type music. So it wasn't your basic rock star type stuff. It was more down to earth folk singers, things singing from the heart. And so I think that's potential for the grid to be involved in all those different things.
Yeah.
So it's time, though. We're in baby mode. We're just birthing at this
Yeah,
point.
exactly.
So
Yeah.
there's
So
a
many ways
lot
that
of
can go.
things that can get documented that will eventually be able to go into fruition here as we grow.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I'll just
Right.
if I can
Teach
finish
it,
on
yeah.
Christoph's thing. I've been like maybe 6 of these this summer, and like this last weekend we were just at a big one with string cheese incident. All of them now are integrating. I mean, we used to do this 20 years ago before people like kind of caught on, but now all of them have some kind of yoga thing or something like that. And what's happening is that these people are coming out of their daily work lives of the work week or whatever and removing themselves from that, and then they're having this experience and they want to bring something back with that. And the problem is you're kind of like conjuring like zoo animals and getting them together to focus on something, which is tough. But something like this is super simple, without a lot of people paying attention. Some are, some not. But what you're getting, if you can get that into a festival like that, you're going to get the advertisement, because everyone's going to see that, like, hey, the Grid app, where they can find it on their own. So then if people, whether they connect with this or not, they see all these people putting their hearts together, that's going to be a reminder of their experience. So not only is it the meditation of the experience that they felt, that heart thing, it's like a reminder of their like weekend out, that they had fun with their friends. And that's kind of like what everyone's looking for at these things. So even getting like a little stamp where like, oh yeah, I can remember that feeling that I had at that festival because I did this heart thing there, and now I can take it around with me. I think that's a great way to spread it really quick to a whole lot of people. So I think Christoph I think that's a great idea to focus on maybe next year. And there was this guy, I'm not really into like the current EDM, but we were at a big one called Force Fields. And what's this guy's name? Oh, LS Dreams. I guess he's a big name dude. But they shut down the whole there was like 30,000 people at this festival. And they shut it down in the morning and gave him a side stage at there. And he packed this whole thing. And he basically tried to do something like this with his sounds. Like, I mean, I wasn't that impressed, but what impressed me is that this many kids showed up in the morning. I mean, it was like standing room only. They were laying all over the place in the middle of the campground just to hear like this frequency stuff. And of course, as I mentioned, I'm like, oh my God, this guy, if I could just hit like a play button to do this, but it was more of like the hype and the concept around it rather than the function that everybody wanted to be in this field. I've never seen anything like that because I've seen these go on at festivals forever, and literally people were in the aisles and in the part of this campground trying to lay there. And then I heard what the people were saying with these experiences. I just think it's a lot easier than we think because they're all having these experiences. Like all you did is like be still and focus for like 5 minutes. That's all it really takes for people.
Yeah,
exactly.
Completely right. Stephen.
Yes, brother.
So I just wanted to jump on there again, just to say to the Doc. Is Doc Rock? Is that right? Yeah. I had in Milan. We had 1,000 people holding a pagan circle. People who are arguing and from different yoga centers, and they're all disparate. And as soon as they held hands and started with a pagan circle, sending love from their hearts down the left arm to the person holding their left hand and receiving it through their right, everybody blistered. I mean, 1,000 people. And I've done it.
Wow.
I do it at festivals all over the world. I'm doing it this year at 3 different big festivals. And the thing about inclusivity, when you bring it to these sort of pagan ceremonies, which are thousands of years old, they're ancient, everybody gets it because it doesn't matter about the ego. Nobody cares about it anymore. You meet people, you feel the other. You feel the possibility, and it expands. That's what our society is doing. Again, it's separating people, and by separating them, you're depowering them. You're taking away everything. Yeah. That's why I love what you're doing, Stephen. I love this network, and I think it's so powerful. It's so subversive wonderfully subversive. So bless you for that. You know,
It's
I've had
always best.
Palestinians and Israelis. The last yoga festival before the war came down, we had 400 Palestinians and Israelis holding hands together. There was no problem. Everybody was feeling love. You know, it's just the powers to be. I'm afraid to say it. You know that are bringing the problems in. When you bring it right down to the basics, nobody cares about the language difference, the cultural difference. We're humans. We're one species, for God's sakes. You know. So, yeah, I totally,
I'm really
totally
looking
with.
forward to when we do our call cast or David. I'm really looking
Yeah,
forward to
me
expanding
too.
into that. Sorry, can I just say hey to Casper? I see her there. Thank you for the message into the chat. What is your son's name again? Can you remind me? Oh, I can't hear you. Samuel, yes, because I actually met Samuel, and actually, here's the thing. Here's me basically asking for help about social media stuff. He is an absolute genius at it, and he's only like 10 or 11 years old, and he's basically able to get like 20,000 people onto his YouTube channel, which is just amazing. So, please give me a call, Samuel. Yeah. um, Casper, nice to see you, and also thank you for sending the information about the HeartMath Institute. And you know, we definitely see a lot of synergies between, you know, like where we could work together. But we're trying to keep it away from the measurement side, where you have to measure to be part of this. This is like we're not going into the measurement of it. We're going into the feeling of it, and to make it as inclusive to everybody on the planet, regardless of whether they have a measurement device with them or whether they buy into the science of it. We haven't really talked about that. We just said, how do you feel after you use it? And if you feel good, maybe use it again tomorrow. And I can actually send you a document that I created a couple of months ago, you know, that's called How We Can Work with HeartMath. And I'd love to send it to you to get your feedback on it, because all of the stuff you've actually written in the chat there, you know, it definitely brings us to a point where we need to talk. We have to talk to the guys at the HeartMath Institute and see if we can just join and to actually join the two grades together, you know.
Theirs is very much about trying to bring more quality people to their sales force, where here we
Didn't want
are.
to say it, Jeff. I didn't want to say that,
You
but
know,
yeah.
there's the difference, because I looked into that right away and I showed you this, what, a month or two ago.
Yeah.
And I go, so there's no charge here.
Yeah, it's
We're
free.
trying to help people.
Yeah.
We're trying to help people, and it's not about the money, you know, so there's the difference.
It's about the love.
No negativity for, yeah, that's right. So like, love isn't for sale, you know.
I have to have a poster for that on the next call. Love's not for sale. Casper, would you like to comment on that, or
Sure.
Thank you.
I've been listening to the conversation and I missed the first bit. I'm sorry for that. I was a bit late. I was just doing some.
If you could maybe move a little bit closer to your microphone, if that's
Yeah, sorry. I came back a bit later. That's why I jumped in a bit later. So I missed the first bit, unfortunately. But by listening to your conversations, I think it is wise to just keep it neutral. As you noticed that when we were spreading around story about the grid, which I did on my social media and Tila did on hers, one of the first comments that she got back was being really awkward about it's a data collector and it's this and that. It's basically people stamp things before they even understand what is really going on.
Yeah.
And to avoid that, it might be easy to just give people notice of the fact that you're 5 or 10 minutes off for the grid. So by basically proactively sending people a message on social media, I'm off for the next 5 minutes or the next 10 minutes because I join in the grid. If you want to join, we see us there, and then send the link to the grid. It might basically attract people, because if you keep on doing this all the time, people are becoming anxious and really curious about what is on with this guy. He's always off for that.
He's always talking about the grid. Yeah, that's good.
At the same time, because as we know, we have a whole barrier that is opposing us with different sorts of energies that like to work towards us in a different way, so that we stay calm and not that effective as we want to be. And to avoid that, I think it's maybe wise sometimes. I mean, always you have people that are really open into it and that want to jump in immediately, as I was, as Tila was, as my family is, because that's the way we feel. And we think that you did a fantastic job, Stephen. Knowing your story, it makes it even more remarkable and more something that I want to hang out with, because I think people need to know and understand that we are the change if we want to change. But we have to make this little steps sometimes. And sometimes we have to create a non-ego space where we can just be that what we want to be and need to be for the sake of all. Not necessarily for me because it's beneficial for me. Of course, I feel good joining in with the grid. And of course, I feel relaxed being aware that we collect in that specific moment. But many people are really obnoxious about it and go really weird and behave weird. So finding different approaches might help sometimes, and sometimes it might even trigger people. And even if you negatively trigger people, you might make them that curious that they want to jump in and see what it's all on about. I
Yeah.
mean, we thought about doing a podcast with you because, especially for this reason, to make people understand that you're not a data harvester, you're not interested in data, you come from that field, and that makes your story even stronger. You're not interested in grabbing negative energy from what you collect by using the grid or by creating the grid, but on the other hand, you try to make a beneficial point for everybody by joining in on the head of love. So knowing your story, I think we need to spread it out, and we need to make sure that people are aware of at least that, your story, your individual story, and how you approached it, and what can grow out of it. Because HeartMath did it, the universities do it. They like to understand the measurements. They like to understand what we move in the field. Rupert Sheldrake wrote fantastic books about the morphogenetic field, and that is what we basically do. We feed the field with that what is needed in the world. But I understand. A lot of people around me understand, but many people are not that far yet.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you, Casper. And you did, in fact, actually, I did say at the start of the call that I spoke to somebody today, and it was actually your wife, Tila, who sent me the message about the privacy. And just which it is on the record at the start of the call, but it has been built with privacy in mind, and we can prove it. So anybody who wants to come look under the hood, more than welcome. It is the plan to go open source, which is the ultimate kind of privacy step that you can take, because it's like literally transparent. But while it's still in its infancy, before we send it off to university, we have to kind of keep it a little bit protected. But we're more than happy for anybody to come in and take a look. But we do not collect any information that is not absolutely necessary. Like, in order for you to have an app on the App Store, there has to be some exchange of information, but we don't collect anything. We don't know who you are. Like, when you give permission to be actually registered on the globe, let's just say you're in Frankfurt, we just show Frankfurt. We don't show where in Frankfurt. We don't show where in Chicago or where in Australia or where in Sydney. It's just an approximate location. And we can prove all of that. And also the app stores are very strict. Like we would be banned from Apple. We'd be banned from Google if we, started playing with, saying one thing to the customer and actually to do the complete opposite. You just don't have that option. You just get banned. So we know that we're not collecting advertising profiles. We don't have any of your information to sell. So, but we'd be more than happy, because it is our job to convince that person of the benefit and the safety of the grid. And if we can convince one person who holds that viewpoint, it means that it will answer the question for 1,000 more people. So please, and I know that your wife suggested that we talk to a security expert friend of yours who's coming to your training or to your conference in September. I'd be more than happy to go meet her and let her see under the hood, or to put her in touch with our development team. So thank you, Casper, and also thank you for the words. And we'd be really happy to do any sort of interview just to get the grid out there. So thank you, brother.
I put in every effort that helps the world, because it's not just me that I want to save. I want to save all the rest of us too. You know, it doesn't make fun to have a safe planet by yourself. So, and I mean, I have kids. It's my obligation and my duty to do so. But that's basically how I personally feel. So anything that helps should be done. And, you know, we should try everything.
Yeah. Well, thank you all. We have reached the hour mark. So I'd just like to maybe end with this thing. We are the grid, each and every one of us. You know, we are all single nodes on the grid. When we bring Christoph's group in, we create a larger node. Just think of it in terms of that, just nodes on the grid, connecting, connecting, connecting. One day, I used to work in networking, like at the very start of my career, like at the very beginning. And it's so fascinating when you take one cable and you connect it into a port and it connects America with France. I've actually done that. I've seen how simple it is. Everybody's connected. So let's all continue to be the individual nodes, but keep looking out for that big connection that we can plug into. And lots of love, guys. Thank you so much. A bientôt.
See you later.
Ciao.
Bye bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.